Hey guys, it's Wendy Hutchinson with Alinea Life Coaching, and this is my January 2025 newsletter. This year, 2025, in the Chinese zodiac, represents the year of the snake. Actually, it's the year of the wood snake. And the year of the snake is very symbolic and represents intelligence, knowledge, intuition, and creativity. So, the year of the wood snake is a great year to begin something new, to integrate everything that you've learned, to tap into your intuition and allow it to guide you. And the buzzword really is creativity, because when we are in a space of creativity, that is where our energy is flowing and expanding, and there seem to be no limits when we're in a space of creativity. Time just flies by and you have no idea where that 3 hours went. That's how you know you're in that creative space, not only for yourself, but as you're creating, your energy is amplifying and spilling out and affecting all the people around you. So it's almost infectious when you're in that creative mode. But I'd really like to talk about what the theme for this month was that came up for me, which was integration. And integration is really all about integrating new aspects of yourself that you're rediscovering. It's about integrating knowledge. It's about integrating all of the things and emotions that you have let go of or that you've processed in the last 12 months. And what happens is we go through these alchemical processes where we start to feel a lot of emotion around things, and things that resonated stop resonating. So in 2024, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of things being churned up around relationships, around work, meaning of life, purpose. And there was just a lot of, it's almost like I'm getting a vision of, if you were in a riverbed and you were churning up all the dirt and the rocks at the bottom, and it was the water became kind of muddied, right? It was kind of a year of that. 2024 was hard for so many people because a lot of you are being called forward into your power and purpose right now. And maybe, just maybe, you've had this inner knowing for a long time you were meant for something more, but you didn't know what, or you were too distracted in your human life to pay attention, really. You were just kind of avoidant because when we know something, then once we know it, we have to act on it, right? So a lot of times it's easier just to ignore the knowing and not look at it. But 2024 really brought a lot of things. We were really confronted with a lot of things, and they were really brought up to the surface for us to look at, process, release, transmute, right? There was a lot of healing in 2024. 2025 is going to be like, okay, what do I do now that I'm moving into a new version of myself? Now that I'm being called higher, to be a higher version of who I am, and maybe step into a role that I know I'm meant to play here. So 2025 is going to be so critical because it's like the springboard for you to go forward. And with that, the theme for me that came up was the word integration. And integration is really about bringing all of these new ideas and aspects of self together because they're all kind of floating around out there, right? We know they're there. We're not quite sure what to do with it all. And so this month, really give yourself permission to sit with yourself and your knowing and connect through meditation or whatever means you use to connect to yourself. And just be really present to the integration process. You're kind of settling into yourself. You're getting used to new energies. You're getting used to new aspects of yourself, kind of wanting to come forward. And it can be a little bit uncomfortable. It's kind of like trying on a pair of jeans that fit perfectly, but getting into them is a little bit of a struggle. So the integration is kind of like that. You have to take your time. You have to be really patient with yourself in the process. And the real key for me when I go through these periods is not to judge the process at all. And I also don't have I don't try to control it. I have control over it, but I'm not muscling it, I'm not trying to force it. Because the old paradigm really wanted us to have this dot, 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 dot linear unfolding and this plan and this marketing strategy, and everything had to be in place before you launched something or you did something. And there was just all of this control stuff. And that paradigm really has collapsed. That old paradigm is gone. And so people are really kind of unraveling those last threads of that, those feelings, those nudges, those urges to really control life. And we're learning how to surrender. We're learning how to be more present to our knowing, to be more in the flow. And it can be really hard for a lot of you, right? And I understand that. So be really intentional about creating some space to be reflective and quiet, to really connect and see what's coming in for you, see what's dropping in for you in terms of the how, like how should I go forward, or what am I really here to do, and what does that look like? Because if we're really eager and anxious and we just, you know, we're like a bull in a china shop, just trying to like muscle our way through it, that's really a lot of chaotic and resistance energy, and that's really not what this is about. This is about us returning to our soul. It's about us learning to dance with our soul and integrate all the aspects of ourselves that have been either rejected or neglected. And what I will say to you is we are far more powerful when we are in the flow in our lives, when we are integrating everything and becoming a whole and cohesive version of our highest selves, right? So integration takes time. So I really encourage you to be patient with yourself, be gentle, be compassionate, and most importantly, we must silence the inner critic, because the inner critic feeds that ego, and that ego really loves to force us to play small. It wants to force us to live in fear. It wants us to be reactive instead of responsive. That ego piece and control piece and limiting belief piece really hasn't served us, right? It has held us back for our whole lives. And it has created situations in our lives that weren't aligned for us. Because whenever we're operating from a place of fear or control, they're basically like peanut butter and jelly, right? Fear and control go hand in hand. We're reactive. And so this is a time where we need to kind of step back instead of engage. You want to step back, you want to be reflective, you want to create space. You might just want to create for the sake of creating, draw, paint, engage, play music, um, do art, do whatever lights you up, but do something creative, because when we're in that space, that's when we're very open. That's when there are unlimited potentials and possibilities floating around. When you're in control, you are just dialing into this one way things have to be. And when you're dialed in like that, you limit yourself to this outcome, to this path. But what can be coming for you is so much greater and so much more. And your purpose and calling and your soul is just so much greater than you even realize. And you don't need to analyze that. When you're in the flow, when you have integrated all aspects of your authentic self, which has been fighting to come forward for the last year or maybe longer, right? It's maybe if you're really stubborn and you really fought it, it's just starting to emerge right now. But my point is, if you can be gentle with yourself and just allow this integration process, and I kind of have a vision of you just being kind of lowered into that perfectly heated bath. If you are just in the perfect temperature water for you, and you're slowly being lowered and immersed in it, and it feels so right and it feels so good. That's what I'm talking about. That feeling of you just integrating into yourself those beautiful aspects of you, those talents, that knowing, that intuition, and just really being an open vessel and container for it this month. And from there, that's the foundational piece of you becoming who you're meant to be. It's just that first foundational cornerstone because it all begins with us, right? It all begins with our knowing, with our alignment, with our embodiment of who we are truly and authentically. So, wherever you are in the process, really take some space and time to honor yourself. You've come so far. You have overcome so much adversity in your life, and the best is yet to come. So I hope you all have a beautiful day and really take some of these things to heart because this year, this in the Chinese zodiac, the wood snake, is a real opportunity for you to be creative and intuitive and just tap in and know your way forward. All right, guys, I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful month. I'm available to support you on the journey if you're interested on a one-on-one session. Check my website out. It's alenialifecoaching.com. I'll put it in the comments. And you guys, I know you've got this. Take care of yourselves. Bye.